So what is the process of becoming a billeted United States Army Reserve officer? In order for us to help, we need to understand, how cadets go from ROTC to the United States Army Reserve. So this slide will detail the paths of finding a reserve unit, and we'll follow along chronologically from top to bottom. Every year in mid-September, Cadet Command releases the component assignments for all ROTC cadets in that cohort, active, guard, and reserve. This is the official word from the Army assigning cadets to their component, and it comes on an Excel sheet with different tabs. These assignments are based on the needs of the Army, contract obligations, board results, and branch preferences that the cadets submitted through CSIMs. The component release marks the beginning of the unit search season. So this is the ideal process. Cadet Command sends an Excel sheet of United States Army Reserve vacancies. They also send instructions for how to request a vacant position. These instructions have the cadet select 3 positions, just in case their top choice is taken by the time they request it. The VHR request is sent over enterprise email to the United States Army Reserve Command, USARC, a sessions group inbox. This can be done by the cadet, the HRA, or yourself. If you send the email, just make sure your signature block shows that you work for that ROTC program, since your global email address will say 104th Training Command. Typically, you'll receive a response back in anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks. The first response will indicate that the unit vacancy was successfully updated. A few days after that, USARC should email you the vacancy hold report that will be the cadet's proof that they have that slot. On screen is an example of what it looks like. This VHR allows the cadet to request their bullet date from USARC based on their plans after graduation. The VHR also becomes part of the packet sent up after commissioning that allows the new lieutenant to receive their orders and be employed with the United States Army Reserve. So again, you're looking at the ideal track of what USARC would like to see. All it takes is a cadet who knows exactly what they want and a handful of professionals who seamlessly push the request through the system in a timely manner. However, most cadets do not sail through this process smoothly. So we're going to add an axis to our diagram and talk about the less proactive cadets. What happens if a cadet does nothing? What if they don't contact their accessions manager and request a vacancy? The answers vary each year based on annual guidance given by the Assistant Chief of Staff, United States Army Reserve, to the Commanding General of Cadet Command. And here is the guidance that was given last year to cadets commissioning in May. Since they are in higher demand and since they must have a top secret clearance to attend BOLC, MI positions close on 30 November to allow time to process the security clearances. So if you haven't, taken care of it by then, well, happy Thanksgiving, slacker. You're not going to be an MI officer. Now, for some cadets, they will spend their holidays waiting for life to happen. The new year will come, they'll make a New Year's resolution, say, hey, I'm gonna finally request that slot. But then they just never get around to it. Next thing you know, they're making Valentine's Day plans with their sweethearts, they go out, they have a nice time, and bam, the next morning they wake up, February 15th, USARC does not have to approve requests for slots in branches that aren't short or for units that are not ready for sex. Now, I put this in scare quotes because the policy is there to incentivize cadets to get their act together, but personally, I have seen VHRs approved after this deadline just fine. In the end, what everyone wants is just to square that cadet away. However, the policy does state that requests for exceptions will have to be approved by the United States Army Cadet Command Assistant Chief of Staff, United States Army Reserve, that's a full bird colonel, and the USARC G1 IMT, which is a major. So even with all that, there are cadets who still struggle to make their plans in advance. And if it comes right down to it, within 30 days of commissioning, if USARC still hasn't heard from the cadet, they may assign them a vacancy based on the needs of the Army Reserve and that cadet's home of record. And that is still assuming they don't fall through the cracks and get ignored completely. Reserve careers must be managed by reserve officers. This isn't an automatic pipeline. I've been approached by a reserve lieutenant 5 months after commissioning asking me how he could get assigned to a unit. Only after we squared him away with the VHR was he able to request a BOLC date. So the purpose of this training is to ensure that no reserve cadets fall through the cracks. In fact, there's a way that they can do even better than the main pipeline. As we know, not all vacant slots are desirable slots. And if you want to see your cadet go as far as a lieutenant, you're going to want to see that he or she is in good hands. So this is an optional step, but one that I highly recommend, and that is that just connect the cadet with their prospective commander. Let them talk, give them some good questions to ask, and let them see if it's a good fit. Most of the time it is, but a lot of the time you may save the cadet from a unit that may not be the best for them, or in the process of having that conversation, they learn more about themselves and what they really want. So there's one last track we're going to cover quickly on the high end of proactivity. If a cadet has a guaranteed reserve forces duty scholarship, they do not have to wait for Cadet Command to release the component assignments. They already know their component. Current guidance says that they can find and request their VHR up to 12 months before commissioning. They can make this request based on the latest vacancy listing, or if they are savvy, they can use an LOA. So there you have it. Those are the paths from a cadet receiving their reserve component assignment to them finding their reserve unit.